According to the latest news, new yellow rainfall warnings have been issued in parts of northern England, the Midlands and Wales, and a rare red weather warning has been issued in Scotland. The Met Office has issued a red warning for severe flooding in Aberdeenshire and Angus in eastern Scotland, which may be life-threatening with widespread road closures expected. Storm Babette will bring 70 miles per hour wind gusts and more than a month's worth of rain to the worst affected areas of the UK, Met Office spokesman Nicola said. Within the warning area you could see a fairly wide range of 100 millimeters to 150 millimeters of rainfall, but some places could see up to 200 millimeters to 250 millimeters. The 30-year average October rainfall for eastern Scotland is 129.53 millimeters. Therefore, some figures within the warning area are certainly above average rainfall for the month in eastern Scotland. Welcome to subscribe, we update every day. The Met Office has updated weather warnings for Scotland as towns and villages were flooded during Storm Babette, where a massive cleanup operation is now underway. A rare red rainfall warning will remain in place as extremely heavy and persistent rainfall hits eastern Scotland. Schools in some parts of Scotland will be closed at lunchtime today as local councils fear the potential life-threatening effects of the weather on people. Troops have been deployed in parts of Ireland after more than a month's worth of rain fell in 24 hours, causing unprecedented flooding, saturated land and high river levels across the county, Cork County Council said. Severe weather warnings for heavy rain and high winds have been issued for several parts of the UK, including Scotland, Northern Ireland and already saturated parts of northern and eastern England. Flight cancellations are increasing at Aberdeen Airport and elsewhere due to Storm Babette, with dozens of flights cancelled. Loganair has just released a list of 22 grounded flights. Many of them commute to Aberdeen. These include flights to and from Sandburg in Shetland and Kirkwall in Orkney, as well as flights to Belfast City, Birmingham, Dublin, Esbjerg, Manchester, Newcastle and Teesside. Other cancelled flights include Dundee, Inverness and Glasgow to Shetland and Inverness to Orkney. Loganair told passengers, if customers wish to postpone travel, we will offer the opportunity to adjust their travel plans free of charge. KLM Royal Dutch Airlines and Norwegian Air Vidra cancelled flights to Aberdeen from Amsterdam and Stavanger respectively. Meanwhile, the risk of sewers flooding has increased dramatically, with Scottish Water warning of possible flooding as Storm Barbet hits Scotland and saying staff are on standby. Reports of sewer flooding are expected to increase as drainage systems are overwhelmed by extreme rainfall. Scottish Water's General Manager of Water Operations John said, "We have activated contingency plans, including increasing the number of staff and contractors on standby to support customers experiencing sewer flooding and protect critical infrastructure for water and wastewater services." The UK is an island nation surrounded by the North Sea, the English Channel and the Atlantic Ocean. This geographical location means the UK is at the intersection of cyclone paths, making it vulnerable to Atlantic storm systems. Storms from the Atlantic bring strong winds and heavy rains, causing flooding, wind damage and coastal erosion. In particular, with climate change, rising sea levels are a threat, particularly to Britain's low-lying coastal areas. This makes the UK more vulnerable to storm surges, further increasing the risk of coastal erosion and flooding. As can be seen, the UK has extensive coastal areas that are susceptible to erosion by storms and tides. Many major cities and ports are located near coastlines, making flooding from storms even more of a problem. As a result, the UK has much older infrastructure, including drainage systems, flood defenses, and buildings that may not be able to cope with modern extreme weather events, increasing the risk of flooding and wind damage. What cannot be ignored is that the UK is a highly densely populated country, with urban areas being more compactly built up. This means that more people and property are vulnerable to threats. Therefore, the UK's climate is often variable and unstable, which increases the uncertainty of weather events. This instability makes weather forecasting more complex and makes responding to events such as storms and flooding more challenging. The UK has experienced hurricanes and storms. In recent years, the UK has experienced a series of important storms, several of which have attracted widespread attention and profound impacts. First, Storm Alexandria, which occurred in October 2020, not only affected the UK, but also France. It was severe in that it caused widespread flooding, mainly in England, Wales, and Scotland. The floods not only killed several people, but also destroyed hundreds of homes, flooded farmland, closed roads, disrupted railway lines, and even caused power outages. The entire region faced severe threats from transportation and infrastructure issues, demonstrating the destructive power of the storm. Next, Storm Dennis ravaged the UK in February 2020, and its impact cannot be underestimated. The storm brought strong winds and heavy rains, causing massive flooding events. Flooding affected many areas, causing damage to homes, closing roads, disrupting train lines, cutting power, and adversely affecting agriculture and the environment. Britain's social and economic stability have suffered a major blow. Soon after, Storm Sierra hit the UK in February 2021. The storm also brought strong winds and heavy rains, causing traffic disruptions, road closures, and flooding. High winds affected planes, trains, and road traffic, while heavy rains caused flooding, causing problems for local residents and businesses. Finally, Storm Brenda swept through the UK in January 2022. The storm brought strong winds and heavy rain, affecting traffic and power in some areas. Strong winds may have caused downed trees, downed power lines, and traffic congestion, causing additional inconvenience to communities. The series of storm events highlights the UK's vulnerability to extreme weather events. These storms cause serious problems, including loss of life, damage to homes and infrastructure, transportation disruptions, power outages, damage to agriculture, and environmental concerns. The UK is located in the North Atlantic region and is frequently affected by cyclones and pressure systems. Storms are generally associated with cyclonic systems, which can be areas of low pressure. The North Atlantic around the UK often has multiple cyclone systems that deliver moist air and strong winds to the UK. These cyclones can move into the UK from the Atlantic or Arctic regions. At the same time, temperature differences are also one of the important factors in storm generation. When warm, moist air meets cold air, the air heats up and condenses, forming clouds and precipitation, possibly accompanied by strong winds. The UK typically experiences this temperature difference in winter and autumn. Pressure gradients are also key to storm formation and development. When the pressure gradient between areas of low and high pressure increases, air moves faster, creating strong winds. Storm formation is often associated with an increase in pressure gradient. Some storms may be influenced by cyclical weather systems, such as Arctic vortices or subtropical storms. These systems can move into the UK from afar and cause severe weather. In some cases, the source of warm, moist air may come from warm currents or areas of warm water, increasing the likelihood of precipitation and storms. Not only is the UK constantly threatened by storms and floods, but it can also be plagued by other natural disasters. First, there are earthquakes. Although the UK is not an earthquake-prone area, smaller earthquakes occasionally occur. Seismic risk areas in Scotland and Wales, in particular, need to ensure that buildings and infrastructure are earthquake-resistant. In addition, landslides and collapses are a threat that cannot be ignored, especially in mountainous and coastal areas. These events can be triggered by extreme rainfall, geological conditions, and land development, so geological risks require close attention. Blizzards can also have a serious impact on some parts of the UK during winter, particularly Scotland and Wales. Snowstorms can cause transportation disruptions, power outages for emergency services. Although relatively uncommon, lightning does occur occasionally during the summer. Lightning can spark wildfires, especially during periods of drought and high temperatures. This requires enhanced prevention and response measures. Coastal areas of the UK may be at risk from tsunamis, which, although relatively rare, can be affected by earthquakes in the Atlantic or other distant events. Therefore, coastal communities need to conduct regular drills and preparations. Although drought is not a common natural disaster in the UK, some areas may be threatened by drought, which can have a negative impact on agriculture, water supplies, and ecosystems. Geological activities such as karst and underground mine collapse may also have an impact on the surface and infrastructure, requiring appropriate precautions. Additionally, coastal erosion may affect coastal areas, particularly in the context of climate change-induced sea level rise, which requires consideration of coastal protection and defense measures. Countries or regions as vulnerable to hurricanes or typhoons as the UK share some common characteristics across the globe. Most areas vulnerable to hurricanes or typhoons are in the tropics near the equator. These areas usually have enough warm water and atmospheric humidity to facilitate the formation and intensification of hurricanes or typhoons. Countries geographically close to seas or bays are more susceptible to tropical cyclones. Seawater often powers hurricanes or typhoons, so areas near the ocean are more vulnerable to storms. Some specific meteorological conditions, such as low-pressure areas, temperature differences, humidity, and wind shear, are crucial to the generation and intensification of tropical cyclones. These conditions often exist in areas prone to hurricanes or typhoons. In addition, tropical cyclones usually occur during specific seasons and therefore have seasonal effects. These seasonal hurricane seasons are often associated with warmer temperatures and warmer water. It is also important to note that low-lying and coastal areas are more susceptible to storm surges and flooding caused by hurricanes or typhoons. Topography plays a key role in a storm's path and reach. The most special thing is that some countries and regions that are vulnerable to hurricanes or typhoons include the southeastern United States, such as Florida, Louisiana, Georgia, etc., East Asia, such as Japan, the southern and eastern coastal areas of China, and Pacific Island countries, such as Philippines, Indonesia, Bahamas, etc., and Caribbean regions such as Puerto Rico, Barbados, Jamaica, etc. These areas experience seasonal hurricane or typhoon seasons, and governments and communities need to take measures to strengthen response and mitigate the risk of hurricanes or typhoons. Welcome to subscribe to our channel. We update every day. See you next time.